Okay, this video is going to cover writing linear equations. Sometimes you are given information about the slope and the intercept of a line, or you're given a graph, or you're given just a couple points, and you can actually write from that information an equation that would fit that information. So that's what we're going to do here. First, if you're given the slope and the y-intercept, that's the easiest. Remember that all of ours are going to be in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And again, m is your slope, b is your intercept. So for the first one, it's real easy to do because we have y is equal to, there's our slope, -3. Then we put our variable in, x, plus our intercept, which is 5. It's that simple. Sometimes the information will be given to you as m and b, so as long as you remember where that comes from or where that goes into the equation, then you're okay. So y here is equal to 2/3 x, and you could say plus a -4, which identifies the intercept as being -4, or you could say y is equal to 2/3 x minus 4. It's the same thing, but this one here identifies the slope as being a negative or at -4, which makes it a little bit easier for some people. If you have a graph, when you look at this graph, it's going down from left to right, which means that the slope is going to be negative. Right here, you can see that the intercept, or where it crosses the y-axis, is at 3. So we know b is equal to 3. To find the slope of the line, you count from one point on the line to another point on the line. Where it crosses these blue lines, though, those are the points you're counting from. So there are two that are marked. There's this one, and then there's this one down here. It doesn't matter how you count. You got to remember that down is negative, up is positive, to the right is positive, to the left is negative. So if I started up here at this point, I would go down 1, which is a -1, and I would go to the right 4, a +4. If I went from this point, I would say up 1, so I would have a +1 up top, but I would go in the negative direction 4, and I have -4. So in other words, my slope is just a -1/4. To write that equation in, y is equal to a -1/4 x plus 3. Cool. Let's move on. Sometimes you will just be given points. If you're given points, you can do this as long as one of the points has x being 0. Because when x is 0, again, let's look at the graph real quick. When x is 0, your y value right here is your intercept. So as long as you have an x equal to 0, you can do this, because this is going to be our value for b, because the x is 0. Now what we have to do is find a slope. Remember that slope, m, is the change in y over the change in x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is x1 and this is y1, this is x2 and this is y2. Because, that's a 2, remember that this delta y over delta x means the difference in the y values over the difference in the x values. And again, it doesn't matter which one you call y2, but if this over here is y2 on the right, then this is x2 on the right. And whichever you choose, whatever point you choose to be first, so here I'm going to have -4 first, then that 0 also has to be first for the x. So -4 minus 6, this point minus this point, over 0 minus a -2, which is the same thing as +2. This is equal to a -10 over 2, and a slope of -5. I went all the way over there. That's not good. So my equation, y is equal to -5x minus 4, or y is equal to a whoa, that's bad, -5x plus a -4. Now, I'm going to erase this here because it's kind of in my way. I'll just put down equals -5 like that. Then what I want you to do is try and figure out this one. So pause the video and try and figure out this one. Okay, hopefully you realize that is your intercept, your y-intercept. Your slope is going to be 9 minus 8 over 1 minus 0, which is 1 over 1, or just 1. So your equation y is equal to 1x plus 8. That could also, we don't need to write the 1, so we could say x plus 8. Pretty easy. The last thing that we need to do is write an equation of a line that is parallel to the given, and it passes through the given point. Great. Remember that parallel means that they have the same slope. So, for this new equation, y is equal to 2x, that has to be the same. What would be different is your y-intercept. And here is the point, x is 0. That means that 4 is the new intercept. So this line right here is parallel to that line right there because the slopes are the same and it's going through this new point, 0, 4. What I want you to do is try and write one that is perpendicular to this one. So write that out real quick. Y is equal to and perpendicular to this line. Go ahead and do that. Okay, remember that perpendicular means the negative reciprocal. The slope is the negative reciprocal. So first of all, 2 is the same thing as 2 over 1. The reciprocal of that is 1/2. It's the negative reciprocal of that, though. And the intercept doesn't really matter. But that right there is a perpendicular line to this other one. That's all, my friends. Goodbye.